Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is Dane Williams. Dane happens to be an insurance agent, an insurance advisor. He's an independent agent for Shoemaker Insurance Solutions in the Memphis area. He also actually graduated from the University of Memphis in 2009 with a bachelor's degree, I believe, in journalism and public
Journalism,
relations.
public relations. Yeah.
Yeah. And he currently is host of the highly successful and informative All Things Real Estate podcast, Key Exchanges in the 901. Welcome to the show, Dane.
Hey, thanks for having me, Michael. Excited to be here.
My pleasure. So tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Something about me that most people don't know. So I'm in insurance. That's something I got some trophies for being pretty decent at it. I don't love insurance. Insurance is the vehicle that lets me love people. I love people. And that's something to where it took me a while to kind of find my groove on where I'm supposed to be. And eventually I kind of had just enough experience and opportunities and doors open for me to be able to do this. And it lets me be around people and into their lives the way that I'd like to be.
You've been working with Shoemaker for, I guess, about 9.5 years now. You started off as a financial advisor, at a pretty young age, and which is very impressive. And then you went into the financial development, and now you work in insurance solutions. You obviously, just like you said, you love working with people. What do you think has led you to your success at such a young age?
It's funny. You take a look at the stops you had along the way and kind of the path that it made for you, and it's interesting. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have stories like this, but I'm like, I was in a certain season. I had this job, which gave me this skill set, which let me go to here, and then all along the way, it just feels like there was a door that was open for me, not intentionally, not something I was happy about in the time.
Right.
I was an okay financial advisor. Before that, I sold construction material and I did a bunch of insurance restoration work for a construction company. And it's like, okay, working all those claims on that side of things for 3 years allowed me to have a skill set that now translates into my insurance business. And there's my financial practice worked a lot in real estate, which now helps. And it's just all these things to where it's like, man, I wish I could say I did all of those things intentionally and that was a plan and I'm just executing the plan. But on some level, you get lucky with some things that happen along the way, and you look up and you go, man, this life's worked out okay for me.
Right. And I think you probably agree with me that you create a lot of your luck.
Oh, sure. Well, it's one of those things that luck comes to people that work real hard. I don't shy away from that. And there's not. I remember when I started on the financial side, and I would get to work early because I needed to get to work early. So what needed to happen, and I was just okay. There were other people with more success than me, but I knew there were people there that absolutely loved studying the market and people that had all kinds of background in being in the industry. And that wasn't me. I didn't love the stock market. I didn't love investing or financial planning like other people did. I love people, right?
Right.
And for me to be as successful as my peers, I just had to work harder than them to get there because I didn't have that same love or some of the natural connections that a lot of those guys had.
Shoemaker has been in business for over 44 years now and has a really great reputation. You have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau of the Mid-South. Back in 2018, President and CEO Jim Shoemaker said, quote, Shoemaker Financial has been studying the expansion for several years, and having the right people in place at this time makes it feasible. Now, you're obviously one of those people he's referring to. Tell us a little bit about the expansion that you guys have had in your already successful business.
Yeah. So prior to 2018, that's when I was still a financial advisor, and we didn't have the insurance division that I work in as it currently looks, anyways. We had a division that did group benefits, selling like health insurance to businesses and Medicare, but we didn't have home and auto insurance. We didn't have commercial property and casualty insurance. That wasn't something that existed for us. We made recommendations for it as a part of our financial planning practice, but we never sold it. And eventually, you have enough conversations with people and the company decides we do want to add it. They start looking around for who would be a good fit to kind of help, launch us out of the gates with this. And it made sense for me to kind of make that transition because I had a ton of connections in real estate. I had the experience, like I talked about, in construction, to where there were some of those things that just, it made me a logical candidate for it. And since then, we've been rocking and rolling ever since. And growing, which is great. I've had just in the past 2 months, we've onboarded another 2 employees, and just things
Awesome.
are things are going really well. I'm excited about the direction we're heading, and excited about what's to come for sure.
How do you balance life and work?
Oh, I don't. No, no, no. It's something I joke about it because I'm not probably the best one to be able to. I've got young kids, so like there's some level like I'm going to be around and do all the things and bedtimes and bath times and whatnot when I've got them. But I had a mentor that told me at one point. He said, "Man, work-life balance is a myth because balance assumes that everything has equal weight, and that's just not true. There's going to be times in your life when your family needs more of you, and that weight's going to be a little heavier, and they're going to get more of your attention. And then there's other times when your business is going to need you. This is the time to make the money, throw the gas on it, go." And that's going to get more of your attention. So work life balance to me, it's like it depends on the season that you're in. You need to make sure that you're not letting relationships go by the wayside and just fully being absentee in any of the roles. But trying to assume that they all should get the same is just probably a fool's errand.
I interviewed about 3 or 4 weeks ago Gary Parrish from ESPN Radio and on the podcast, and I asked him that same question because I wanted to know, different radio, being in the radio business, different from business, how he balanced. And he said the same thing. It's hard to balance your life and work, and that he's making sacrifices now for later is what he does. And I'm assuming that's what you're looking at too.
Oh, absolutely. It's something where I can feel it, and probably even more so in some of the business ways, because like we're actually selling something for building clients that are going to continue to pay dividends down the road, and revenue that's going to continue to come in. He's always working for the next story, the next thing. It's something where he's having a grind. Right. So yeah, that's definitely something we see.
How is it selling an intangible product compared to a tangible?
It's an adjustment. I probably had more of a struggle with it on the financial side because just you're required by law to have car insurance. Your mortgage companies were going to require you to have home insurance. So
right.
It felt like it was an easier sale that I was moving into. But it is something where I can't show you, here's your insurance and here's how great it is and all the bells and whistles. It's a piece of paper that's not the sexiest thing in the world to look at, but I think it allows me to kind of really focus on the people and the stories and the emotions behind it. Because I think practically speaking, there's no one, myself included, that enjoys paying for insurance. Like that's not a fun thing at all. But more so than that, you don't want to be in a spot to where when life happens, because it's going to happen to all of us at some point,
right,
that we weren't prepared. So when we start to kind of focus through those conversations and say, hey, Mr. Client, is $50 a year, does that really have an impact on XYZ in your life? No, not really. But if life happens to you in this way, is that something you're okay with? And if they are, then I have no problem with that. That's fine. Like we'll take that coverage off. I just want you to be aware of the risk that you're taking. And then from there, we're all going to sleep fine at night. With our clients, I found that as long as we kind of take that educator approach to just say, here's what you're getting for this money, and here's what it costs you if you don't have it, and if you do have it, and all the things with that, that's really resonated with people. And I think that's led to a lot of our success.
We talked about before we came on air, and I was telling you that I sold Cutco when I was in college and was a manager. And obviously that's a tangible product. Insurance, I always used to tell people, insurance is tougher to sell than Cutco, and because it's an intangible. But what you really do is you make an intangible tangible for people by those stories. But by really going through and telling them how much they need it and everything. You do make it tangible for people, don't you?
Oh, for sure. And I think the other thing that we kind of run up against as an industry is fighting off these giant websites and companies that are cutting out the local agent. And when we get to have a conversation to where, man, if you go out of town and your hot water heater bursts and you've got 2 feet of water in your living room, the last thing you want to do is download an app and upload a video and push 2 for English. Like I want to call a person who played baseball with my kids and let him come stand in my living room with me and tell me it's going to be okay. That's what people want. And sometimes we lose sight of that whenever it's just another transaction, another purchase we're making that we can just click from Amazon and have it here in 2 days. But when life happens, those are the clients that are with us forever. So it's definitely an adjustment to get people to see that sometimes, because there are some prospects for us that really aren't prospects because they are dead set on doing business that way. And that's okay. We're not supposed to have everyone.
All right. You just want a little piece of the pie.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So you have this successful career going at a young age. You have a wonderful family. And so what do you decide to do back on September 30th, 2020? You decided to start your own podcast, Key Exchanges in the 901. What led you to the decision to do that?
Yeah. So I decided probably a year or so earlier that I was going to do it. And it was on a business plan that I had. and it just kept not happening. And then finally we were rolling into, I was doing fourth quarter planning for me. And I said, look, you've had this on your business plan for at least 3 quarters now that you're going to start this dang thing, and you haven't. It really, the idea behind it was real estate is a good referral source for us.
Sure.
I thought it was just going to be a quick marketing piece that, hey, I'll have some of my referral partners on, we'll have a conversation with them, their mom will listen to it and they'll think they're, a good child. And that will be the extent of it. I didn't think there was going to be anybody that really listened to it. My mom and their mom, and that was going to be it.
Right.
And then we get going, and I recorded it. And I remember waking up the morning that I was supposed to record and going, what if I don't know how to do this? I just kind of assumed that I would figure it out. And I had my questions. I knew what I was going to ask. But at the same time, I was like, I don't really know the pace and the rhythm of how to ask things. Like, I just see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And it went really well. We recorded 5 interviews that first day, and we released them, or 4 interviews that first day. We released them weekly, and then we had a weekly show for a year before we took a break. And it was something to where it just continued to get more and more traction, and people were finding it and listening to it and wanting to hear more of these stories. It's that real estate community is really, really tight. And it was different for me because in insurance, in financial advising, in construction sales, there was never really a need to work with your competitors. Like, it didn't matter. Just let them go sell those other jobs. And I didn't have to be mean to you, but like, I don't have to realize you exist either.
Right.
But every time you sell a house, there's a buyer and an agent on the other side as well, and vice versa. So they work together a lot. And that was something where I was kind of getting an education on the community as we're going through it. And it's something where we are industry specific and geographically specific in the topic that we cover. If you live outside of Memphis, and if you are not really interested in real estate, then you may not have a whole lot of interest in my show, and that's okay. But what's crazy is the amount of people that keep finding it. And like, we consistently, every episode ranks in the top 25% of all podcasts in the world for listenership. Last year, I saw that we were in the top 10% across our whole show for just listenership. And it's like, how does this keep happening? Like, again, it was just supposed to be my mom and your mom listening, and here we are. And it's going really well, man. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it most of the time. It is something where I realize, like, I'm really working 2 jobs now because I'm trying to sell insurance, and a lot of people know you as the podcast guy. That, which again, like, there are worse things I could be known for, right? We all live a life like, I don't know, don't know me as that, right? But being the podcast guy is a reasonable enough place to land, and it's gone really well. I've enjoyed the opportunities and the doors that it's opened for me.
You've interviewed many real estate agents on your podcast over the last few years who work for both, large and small companies. I think that there's some people out there who are not in real estate that think, real estate is all fun and easy, and agents get to show homes and properties, and that's what they do all day. That's pretty much all there is to it. Well, that's not even close to the case, is it?
No. It's something to where, especially with the way the market's been of late, to where it's like the homes are on the market in 12 seconds and then they're gone. And we're seeing it slow down and shift a little bit, but you'll have kind of a sentiment among the general public of, are these people even working? And I promise you, they are working for every dime they're making.
Absolutely.
There's a lot that goes on there. And so often as the end, buyer or seller of a home, you never see how many times this deal falls apart in the course of the process, because they just fix it. They find the workaround, they make it, and they don't want to stress you out. So whether it is the inspection that now the other person is scared that, there was a stain on your ceiling, so that means all the pipes are going to fall out of this house and it's just a mess, I want out, right? And then they fix it. No, it's not. You just got cold feet because you're spending the most amount of money you've ever spent in your life. And all of these opportunities that come up for something crazy to happen, and them to not just be the real estate agent that helps the transaction take place, but they are the psychologist, the marriage counselor, the grief counselor when we have lost another deal, and everything along the way, along with, running the circus that is a real estate transaction. I've got so much respect for these folks, because a lot of times, the end user may just think, well, this person's getting paid somewhere along the way, and not if a house doesn't sell.
Right.
A lot of times they're working for free,
right,
until something happens, and they may be working with a buyer or seller for a year, maybe longer, to where we're just trying to get this done, doing all of this work, spending money on marketing and time and effort and gas, and they don't get a dime until that thing closes.
A real estate agents have to have an incredible work ethic, because, pretty much, you have meetings to go to and you have to be in the office sometimes. But other than that, you pretty much are, in a way, setting your own schedule, working around the customer and everything in their time. but you are setting your own schedule, and you have to have that work ethic, and not everybody does. And so that's why my respect for real estate agents is huge, because I know what that's like.
Well, and the thing about it is, there are people that get into the business saying, I get to control my own schedule. And it's like, you do and you don't, right? You're going to have showings. You're going to have times when you've got to go work around the client, like you said.
Sure.
But the things that are not necessarily client specific, but a lot of the administrative work and the things that go on behind the scenes, you can do at a time that works for your life. Let me do it after I get the kids to bed and I'll just work all night, or let me do it in the morning, and whatever it may be. But if you don't have the discipline to stick around and do those things, and to plan the social media posts and all the things that go with, uploading the photos and scheduling the inspections and everything else, if you don't have the discipline to find time in your life to be able to do that, then you'll never be successful at it.
Being in the insurance business, I'm sure before you, like you said, you even started, you knew Key Exchanges, that you knew about real estate. You had done some stuff with real estate before in construction and things like that. So you knew a little bit about it. After interviewing so many agents now, is there anything that you've learned that maybe has surprised you that you didn't know before?
That's a good question. I don't know. I guess one of the things that I found really, really unique is how industries can be, you can be incredibly successful in industry and not be exactly like all the other successful people. There's no one way to kill it in there. Some of my absolute favorite people in the industry are very unlike each other, and they may be the very top performers. It's some that are just like, this guy's kind of quirky and awkward to talk to, but he just grinds it out every single day. And then you go to the next person on the list as far as sales rankings in the city, and this will be the life of the party, the guy that's so fun to be around. It's like, how are you guys neck and neck in sales, and yet you're doing it so differently? And I suppose that's true in insurance or Cutco or mattresses or anything else, right? But
Right.
It's always something that when you actually see it played out right in front of you, and it's like, how do you have the same job? Because you guys are so different from one another.
I used to tell people, I heard years ago, and I'm sure you've heard it being in sales, enthusiasm is contagious.
Mm.
And enthusiasm is on different levels. You have some people that are enthusiastic, bouncing off the walls, enthusiastic, that are up there. Then you have some that are enthusiastic, they're a little bit more quiet about it. And just like you said, it's exactly right. You wonder sometimes how both of those people can be successful. But if their work ethic is good, and they have the determination, and they're locked in, and they have the desire, they're going to do it, and they're going to be successful, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. With hard work, I rarely ever see it in most industries go unrewarded. It may not happen right away. You may work really hard for a long time and not see that fruit, that's going to come from it. But if you keep putting seeds in the ground without fail, something's going to come from it. And that's what I've seen in my life, anyways. And I believe that to be true. One expression that I have heard many, many times is, everybody wants to be strong, and not everybody wants to lift the weight, though. And to be successful, you got to lift the damn weight. And I get that totally, because you got to get up there and put in the work every single day if it's something where you want to be on that level.
You're on the budget and finance committee for the Memphis Area Association of Realtors, and this past December, you were named Affiliate of the Year. And that honor is given to an affiliate member in the organization, recognition of their extraordinary support of the MAAR for that current year. That had to be pretty exciting for you, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's unique, just because I don't know. I've gotten some trophies over the years, and it's always kind of surprising whenever it happens, because I don't know. I don't assume that's going to happen. I'm just going to do my job. I'm going to do whatever the task is in front of me to the best of my ability. And if someone recognizes it, it's great. But practically speaking, I had a job I was working towards, and let's just do that. Right.
Right.
So whenever we were sitting there it's at the Halloran Center downtown, and I was like, hold on one second. They're reading the bio of this person that just won, and it sounds a lot like my life. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm like looking around to see who's around me. Is this about to be I think I'm going to have to get up and go get a trophy now. I'm not real sure. So it was definitely surprising to see it happen, and encouraging just to be recognized for the work that we've put in over the years. And I mean, there's tons of people out there putting in work just like I am. It's just, I guess I'm a little bit more visible with some of the other extracurriculars I've got going on. And have unique, I'm the bald guy with the beard. Okay, cool. We'll put him up there. But there's enough of those things to where, it's gone well, and it was definitely an honor for sure.
Your mother, Tony, battled both breast cancer and ovarian cancer throughout your childhood. And this past October 14th, she was cancer free for 19 years.
Yeah.
You're an ambassador for the Real Men Wear Pink of Memphis to help raise money to fight breast cancer. Tell us a little bit about that.
I love it. It's something where I'm going to be doing it again this October. It's my third year doing it. And it started a friend of mine. She works at the American Cancer Society, and she was tasked with kind of getting guys to do it. So I said, yes, of course, I'd love to help. You know, my mom told the story, and we're off and running. And I knew there was a fundraising component. I knew I was supposed to wear pink every day in October. And they gave me all kinds of educational material and whatnot. I'm just like, okay, I get it, guys. I've asked people for money before. I know how to do it. I've lived through cancer in my own home growing up. But then it shifted gears for me whenever the first day of the first year when I posted something about it, the messages that started coming in. And I can't begin to say like that I was prepared for it, because I wasn't. I wasn't prepared at all for the stories of people going, man, my mom got diagnosed just the other day, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it. My wife has been battling this for years, and all the stories that came. We lost my sister to this back when, and I was like, oh no, they told me how to wear pink every day. They told me how to, all these facts and places to direct people, but I don't know how to just, lean in. And then, you kind of shift and go like, wait, every other career choice you've made is because you love people. Like, you're going to be fine at this. Just lean in and love people again here.
Right.
And it's been something where I have thoroughly enjoyed getting the opportunity to really just lean in and have some of those conversations with people. Say, look, here's how it looked in my life, but I was a kid. Tell me what it looked like for you. It's a disease to where the dollars that we're raising now and the research they're doing, like, there's a very tangible impact that we're seeing from that. It's not something where we're just kind of throwing money in the wind, hoping someday something's happening, but there's real lives that are impacted every single dollar that's going in there. And it's something that I am always proud to be a part of it, to be one of the ambassadors for the Real Men Wear Pink program.
I watched a video of you with John Dickens. I know John. John's a good guy. I've known him a long time. That was pretty funny. How did you guys come up with that idea?
So this was year 2 of doing it for me, and I talked John into doing it with me as well, just because there's a lot of people that know John. He's a big personality, great guy,
Yeah.
Dear friend. And I said, John, we're going to do it, man. And we're going to make a video. And he says, okay, whatever you say, Dane, I trust you. Let's go. And we started kind of talking it through. And the other person that was a part of it, Shannon McWaters, she's at the firm. They're at the same brokerage, and they're great friends. She makes great stupid videos just like I do.
Yes, I see them. They're awesome.
Yeah, no, she's great. So we start having this idea of like, all right, well, we'll just have a competition. We're trying to out pink each other, right? Like I'll put on some pink, and he's got on more pink than me, and I've got a pink cup, and he's got a bigger pink cup, and all these things. And the punchline of the joke when we get through it, it's 2 feet underneath the stalls of a bathroom, and I've got on, like, pink boxers or whatever it may be, and John's got women's panties that go down around his ankle, and he's a large man, so
Yes.
it's a funny thing to where you got 6'8" John, and it's a good laugh for sure. So
yeah, it made me laugh.
We had fun with it, and realistically, I mean, it got attention for what we were trying to talk about, right? And that was the real goal. I am never too proud to go ahead and make a fool of myself to try to get some attention to something that matters to me, and really get after it. And that's something where we've had a really good time doing that with the American Cancer Society and the Real Men Wear Pink program for sure.
The old adage, take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's not something you're going to find with me at all. I maybe should take myself a little more seriously, I think, but we're having a good time with it, and life's worked out okay. So,
your mom obviously is doing very well now. She just recently opened up a 20,000 square foot venue called the Kent, downtown Memphis. It was converted from a historic building and holds up to 1,000 guests. I know that, both you and your mother and your family, everybody has to be really excited about this new venture.
It's so cool. It's right on the corner of Keel and Front, and it's a 100-year-old building or something like that. It's really old. And it's a part of the Snuff District redevelopment projects going on. Billy Orgel and his whole team there are doing some awesome things down there. I actually just had him on as a guest on my podcast this week, so got to have him talk about it, straight from the horse's mouth. But the Kent is going incredibly well. She was out at Spring Creek for over a decade, running events and weddings out there, and she was really, really, really good at it, and still is. But getting the opportunity to have a new challenge and a new venue, and just some of the differences that come with that, and be able to kind of really start something from scratch, that there was not, it's not that, hey, this was a beautiful facility that existed already and, someone just stepped in and started doing weddings, but instead it was like, no, this was a dirty, nasty, empty building filled with vagrants and everything else, right? That
Right.
they turned into. And obviously, she's not swinging a hammer or anything like that. They were great construction people, but her being involved with that, I know there's an immense pride that she feels in kind of being in that building and kind of seeing what's going on there. And obviously, like, we're incredibly proud to see all that she's doing and just the way people are taking to it, because you step into that building and like it just looks different. It's such a cool space. And I would imagine over the next year, people will go to weddings and banquets and all sorts of stuff to where they get to go in it for the first time. And every single person I talk to about it goes, wow, man, that place is really nice. And like, yeah, it is. They do a great job. So we're proud of what they've done with the building, but even more so proud of what she's done.
Yeah. To talk about someone who's obviously, she must be a real fighter.
Yeah, it's something where seeing and kind of being raised. She was a single mom that raised us. She had me when she was 19. My little sister 4 years later. She had cancer twice. Had to drop out of college to just provide for us. And the work and the grit, I guess, that was on display every single day. And we never knew that something was wrong. Wow. It wasn't something I felt like she was sick. It wasn't something I felt like we were disadvantaged ever at any point. We grew up, I went to Collierville schools. We were there. We were the poor kids in Collierville, but she did everything she could to make sure we were going to be in a good school system. That was absolutely going to happen come hell or high water. Right. And she put in that effort every single day. And it's something where we never even knew the sacrifices she was making until you kind of get into adulthood and you look back and you go, wait a second, how did that happen? Like, the math doesn't work on this thing. And how did this and this happen? And it's just, she made it happen one way or another. And definitely a lot of pride in seeing all that she's accomplished, for sure.
You posted a picture back in February. It was of Dr. Dre, Eminem, and Snoop Dogg. It was, talking about the halftime show at the Super Bowl. And I think you said something like, if you're old enough to really be excited about the halftime show, then we probably need to have a conversation about life insurance. Now, yeah. Obviously, you talk to people of all different ages, and insurance is not just older people. And it was really funny, actually. How do you stress to somebody the advantage of starting earlier instead of waiting until later to get insurance and life insurance?
Yeah, I guess you never really know what's going to happen in your life that may take something off the table. Like immediately, you want to go to, you may die. Sure, you may die. That's an awful thing that everybody's got a story somewhere in their life, someone that was taken from us too early. But even more so than that, there are these things that come up. It could be a health thing that comes up to where now you're uninsurable. An insurance company won't touch you. I got a guy that he works here with us. He was a Rhodes football player, great, big, strong kid that when he got here, and in great shape, everything's good. You'd never think anything's wrong with him. He's in his early 20s and he gets something called optic neuritis. It's an infection in his eye. And they gave him some antibiotics, cleared it up. Everything's good. So we thought, right, there's going to be no issues with this. But what happened when he went to apply for life insurance a couple years later, when he had a child or something, they denied him completely. And they're like, hey man, come back in 10 years, we'll see. And they're like, he's like, what the heck? Like, realize I work for the company. Well, how am I getting denied here? And they were like, well, that optic neuritis you had, well, that's a red flag and an indicator that you may have MS. And that's a really big deal. And he was like, no, I took the pills that cleaned it up. Guys, I promise you I'm fine. We're like, yeah, but we want to see more track record of it, right? And luckily he's past his 10 years at this point. He's rocking and rolling to where it's not as big of a concern, but you never know what kind of weird thing like that is going to come up to where, yes, you may get hit by a bus tomorrow and that could all be taken from us. We know that, right? But even more so than that, you don't know what things are going to make it to where now it's off the table. And even if you want to, even if, it could be cancer or something that's incredibly serious, or it could be something where you had to take the pills and it's cleared up in 2 weeks and everything's fine, right?
Right.
You never know what that's going to be. So if you've got something to lose, whether it's you've got a family to care for, you've got people that depend on you financially, an organization you'd like to support, and you want to make sure it's taken care of, then obviously the sooner you can start that, one, it makes it cheaper just because statistically you're further away from death. But also just, you don't know what's coming down the pike to where something could make it to where it's not on the table for you anymore.
You recently connected as a content partner with John Arroyo and Ruby Red Media. I've seen a lot of your videos and everything that he's produced for you. I mean, his work is phenomenal, isn't
He's
it?
the best. He's the best for sure. I am incredibly lucky to have him and his creativity and his team, just all that they do. It's something where I've got some friends in real estate that he had done some videos for them, and I'd seen it. I'm like, that looks really good. This is a different person that's doing this. I don't know who it is. Let me make some calls. And he had done some stuff for Shannon at the firm. He had done some stuff for my friend Tara Cruz and some other people. To where I'm like, okay, well let's go ahead and have a conversation. And I told him, I said, hey, I've got this podcast. We did it the first year, and there wasn't any video component to it at all. It was just kind of me taking a couple pictures, having my assistant come in and take a couple pictures, and like I would post that on social media, and that was kind of it.
Right.
And as we started to look at the bigger picture of podcast and seeing how video is obviously incredibly impressive, but also like bite-sized video. When you look at Joe Rogan, who's got the biggest podcast in the world, very few people watch several hours of his show. But there are a
Right.
lot of people that see a 4-minute clip where he's going off about something. And I'm like,
Right.
well, let's find a way to do that. I started explaining it to John, and John's had the same idea. And it's like, well, let's go, let's make this happen. And it's just been a phenomenal partnership to where the outputs that he has and getting to highlight the realtors and the other folks that come on the show. It's been a blast, and it's allowed the content that's come out of it to be really, really, really good.
You have been voted the Commercial Appeals Memphis Most Best Insurance Agent, 2 years in a row, which is awesome. And now even more exciting about that, something I read about you is that for 5 years in a row, you've been voted People Magazine's runner-up sexiest man alive. Now,
It's,
both of those are awesome. But my
yeah,
question for you, why haven't you won?
it's too political for me. That's what it is. Just like you said at the open, man. I don't do politics. It's not for me here. So I'll just let John Legend win it. I'll let Thor go get it. You guys can go ahead and be this. I'll be the runner up again. It's ridiculous. They keep doing that to me, but always a bridesmaid, right?
Yeah,
I'll take my insurance trophies and just go back and take that runner up award again.
I was about to say nothing wrong with the runner-up in that category at all.
That's 5 years straight. Well, looking good for number 6 too, by the way. I don't think they're going to give it to me again this year.
The first year of your podcast in 2021, you talked about it earlier that you finished in the top 10% of podcasts, downloads in the world, which I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, I know there's well over 1 million, so that's just phenomenal. You know, just with that amazing work that you've done, what do you think do you attribute the most to your success?
Honestly, it's something where I'm willing to put in the work. It's obviously a part of it, but more so than that, it's people. It's something to where my show doesn't exist based off of my personality. I promise you that. Nobody wants to listen to it at that level. I got some jokes. I've got a couple things we'll get in there, but realistically, it's the personalities and the stories that we get to bring on. And sure, I'm going to pull some of that out of them and try to put them on a great stage to really share that story. But it's not me. It's their story. I didn't have to walk a mile in those shoes. You did it, man. So just tell me about it. And I have loved getting to see that side. There are times when, and it took me a while to dial in this because I'm not naturally an interviewer. That's not something that really comes natural to me. It took me a second to kind of find it. But there are times now when I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody, I'm like, I feel this. This is good. Like, hold on, like, say that again, say that loud, because maybe it's an educational thing that like someone needs to hear this. Maybe it's a story to where like, man, I got goosebumps just listening to this. Like, I just need to shut up and get out of the way. And it's really nothing to do with me at all. It's me having to say, shh, just Dane, just don't fight every urge you have to just be unable to shut up, and instead just let this person talk because they're doing something special here and people need to hear it.
You're married to your beautiful wife, Kelsey, I believe, and you guys have 2 daughters.
Yeah, we do have 2 daughters. Yes, Georgia, Kate, and Scarlett. They are 6 and 3, and we are co-parenting together well, and the girls are a blast. The fatherhood is something that is unique because it challenges you in ways that you never expected, and there are times when you see your own traits that just come out of a sassy 3-year-old. to where I'm like, oh my goodness, what the heck are we doing here? Like you're making a joke that I would make, and I'm having to try really hard not to laugh at it because you were totally defying me and showing me no respect whatsoever. And it's something where it's one of the biggest challenges I've ever had, one of the biggest responsibilities, obviously, I'll ever have. But it's something to where it is a ton of fun being with my girls. We cut up and we have a good time, and they're a blast. I love it.
That's awesome. How old are they?
So 6 and 3, 6 and 3. Getting ready to start first grade, and then we're still a year away from kindergarten from the other one. But we're having fun with it for sure.
What talent do you have that you would love to pass on to your children?
I think it really is just kind of care for people. And I can definitely see it in my 6-year-old. She's got is the biggest heart in the world, but also she's emotional, right? She's the one that wakes up every morning looking for a reason to cry, and I love her, right, for it. She cares, and she's got a big heart, and it's beautiful. And then my 3-year-old, she wakes up every morning looking to give her a reason to cry. So like it works out, we got to probably soften that heart a little bit, but it's just it's something where when you look at being intentional about caring for people and being thoughtful and purposeful in all of your actions and interactions with them, can really go a long way, and really leaves as big a dreams as you have on the table. You still got to work for it. You still got to go get it happen. But if you are genuinely caring about people, then the sky's the limit.
What are the most important lessons that you've learned in your life?
I think it goes back to what we said earlier, right? It's you got to put in the work. It's so easy to look at people that are successful, maybe more successful than you, and say, yeah, this person had it easy. They had, a rich uncle that made XYZ happen for them. And that's the only reason. It's like, no, there are very, very, very few cases in all of history where people have reached, the pinnacle of success without being freakishly hard workers. You got to put in the work. And there have been seasons of my life when I felt like things just should have come to me because look, I'm smarter than that person. I'm funnier, more likable, better connected, whatever. And maybe it didn't come for me for one reason or another. But at some point it clicks and you're like, no, I got to get up and go. I got to put in, I got to lift the weight. Right.
Right.
And when that happens and that clicks, that's something where it's like, look, this kind of gives my life a different lens to go through. And whatever the task is in front of me right now, it's selling insurance or doing podcast or whatever it may be, then like, hey, I'm going to put in the work. You won't outwork me. That's just the way that I'm wired.
How do people get a hold of you if they're interested in talking to you about insurance?
Yeah. So you can email me if you just search my name on Google or whatever. I'm generally going to show up. There's a dead surfer from like 20 years ago that he shows up to, and I don't know how to be ahead of him. So that kind of is what it is. I'm the other Dane Williams, not dead surfer. But if you can call our office, which is 901-757-5757. Email me, dwilliams at Shoemaker INS, or any of the social medias. I mean, just search my name. That's usually the best way to catch me because I'm on there for one reason or another all the time. So hit me up on social media, slide in those DMs. I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Awesome. And Dan, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I can tell you from watching your video clips and listening to your podcast that you're a very genuine, sincere, and caring person. And well, once again, everybody, please don't forget to check out his podcast, Key Exchanges in the 901. Whether you're in real estate or you're not in real estate, it's very interesting and it's a fun podcast to watch. So please check it out. Dan, man, I appreciate you coming on today.
Michael, I really do appreciate you having me as well, bud.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.